Imagine this. This is not a movie or a video game. It's a thought experiment with a single rule. A modern army with 21st century technology appears in front of Sparta at the height of its power. We are not talking about just any city. We are talking about a society built entirely for war. A culture where from the age of 7, boys were trained to kill, endure, and obey. The question is not whether a modern soldier has better weapons than a Spartan hoplite. That's obvious. The real question is whether technology can defeat a civilization that turned war into its identity. Stay with me, because the answer is not as simple as it seems. We are in the 5th century BC. Sparta dominates the Peloponnese with absolute discipline. It has no walls because it trusts its men, not its stones. Every citizen is a professional soldier. They do not fight for money or personal glory. They fight because their entire life was designed for that. Facing them appears a modern army, soldiers trained with automatic rifles, optics, radios, reconnaissance drones, artillery, armored vehicles, and advanced medical support. But there is an important condition. There are no infinite reinforcements. No modern factories producing endless ammunition. What they bring is all they have. First, let's compare the individual warrior. The Spartan hoplite carries a spear, heavy shield, helmet, armor, and short sword. His world is close quarters combat. His strength is formation. One Spartan alone is good. 10 together are fearsome. 100 together are a wall. The modern soldier, in contrast, fights at distance. He doesn't need to see the enemy's eyes to kill. He can shoot accurately at hundreds of meters, fight at night, and communicate with his unit in seconds. In a one-on-one duel, the modern soldier wins almost every time. The Spartan wouldn't even know where death came from. But Sparta doesn't fight one-on-one. It fights like a human machine. It advances as a block, shield against shield, spear forward, pushing like a giant beast. Its strength is not the individual, it is cohesion. If the modern army faces a Spartan phalanx in open ground, the first volley of fire would be devastating. Bullets pierce wood, leather, and bronze. The front ranks would fall without touching the enemy. For the Spartans, this would be incomprehensible. No visible arrows, no catapults, just men falling. The psychological impact would be enormous. Sparta believes in valor, in face-to-face death. Dying without seeing the enemy does not fit their logic. At first, there would be confusion, then anger. Then they would advance anyway, because Sparta does not retreat. Retreat is dishonor. And here comes the first cultural clash. The modern soldier is trained to survive. The Spartan is trained to die if necessary. Now let's think about numbers. Sparta was never a huge empire in population. Its army was small but elite, perhaps a few thousand true Spartiates, supported by allies. A modern army can bring tens of thousands of soldiers. Numerically, the modern advantage is clear, but even if the modern force were small, its firepower exceeds Sparta's destructive capacity by thousands. One rifle equals dozens of spears in range. One drone equals hundreds of scouts. Now comes the terrain factor. If the battle occurs on an open plain, the modern army has absolute advantage. It can fire from afar, maneuver with vehicles, surround and destroy without closing distance. The phalanx is slow and needs flat ground. If the battle occurs in a narrow pass, like Thermopylae, the story changes. There, the phalanx can block advance. Their distance shrinks. Their rifles lose part of their advantage. But even in a narrow pass, modern weapons can fire through the bottleneck. They don't need to push with shields. They need to maintain distance. Now let's consider Spartan logistics. Sparta depends on helots, enslaved labor, to produce food. It depends on allies to sustain long campaigns. It is not industrially self-sufficient. The modern army depends on fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. Both have weaknesses. If the war drags on, Sparta suffers from lack of resources. If it drags on too long, the modern army suffers from lack of ammunition. It becomes a race between ancient steel and modern metal. Now let's think about mentality. A Spartan does not fear death. He was trained for it. Fear does not paralyze him. The modern soldier does fear death, but has more tools to avoid it. His fear is tactical, not moral. The Spartan fights to avoid dishonor. The modern soldier fights to complete the mission and return alive. That difference matters. Sparta can send men again and again without social collapse. A modern army cannot lose thousands without political consequences. Now consider adaptation. Sparta is not stupid. It would quickly learn that advancing in tight block is suicidal. It would try to spread out, use hills, attack at night, set ambushes. But its doctrine is not built for that. The phalanx is its soul. Changing it would mean changing Sparta itself. The modern army in contrast, is built to adapt. It can change formations, weapons, and tactics. It can shift from open combat to guerrilla methods. That flexibility is a huge advantage. Imagine the first great battle. The Spartans advance with shields shining in the sun. They sing. They strike shields with spears. The modern army opens fire. The line breaks. Men fall. But the Spartans do not flee. They keep advancing until the ground is covered with bodies. Some reach close combat. There it becomes brutal. A rifle is clumsy at 1 meter. A sword is fast. If Spartans close distance in mass, they can cause real casualties. But every meter costs lives, and Sparta has no infinite replacements. Now think about time. In the short term, the modern army wins. It can destroy Spartan forces in open battle. It can strike troop concentrations. It can dominate the sky with drones. In the long term, Sparta cannot recover. Its population is limited. Every Spartan lost is irreplaceable. There are no vast reserves. Unlike Rome, Sparta cannot lose thousands and remain the same. Each major war weakens it permanently. So could a modern army defeat Sparta? The military answer is clear. Yes. In direct engagements, technology crushes the spear. Modern range, speed, and coordination destroy the phalanx before it reaches contact. Even Spartan discipline cannot walk against endless bullets. But the historical answer is more interesting. It would not only defeat Sparta, it would make it irrelevant. Sparta would cease to be a military power within weeks. But here comes the uncomfortable reflection. Sparta would not lose because it was cowardly. It would lose because it was perfect for its time, but not for the future. Its system is optimized for ancient war. The modern army is optimized to kill without being touched. It is a clash between honor and physics, and physics always wins. The real lesson is not that Sparta was weak. It is that even the most militarized society of the ancient world cannot compete with a world where distance kills. The Spartan is the symbol of physical courage. The modern soldier is the symbol of technological courage. One fights with the body, the other fights with systems. So the final answer is this. A modern army would defeat Sparta without much difficulty on the military level. But Sparta would die as it lived, advancing, not retreating. It would be a glorious defeat, but a definitive one. Now I leave you with the final question. If you were a Spartan and saw your companions fall without seeing the enemy, would you keep advancing? And if you were a modern soldier, could you fire against men who only want to fight face to face? Is war defined by courage or by distance? I'll read you in the comments. If you want more impossible scenarios like this, subscribe.